You self-identified as like a starter and maybe not a finisher. Yeah. Do you think that you're maybe doing that because this thing isn't sustaining you?
Yeah.
What would be the one thing that you'd focus the majority of your time on? It doesn't have to be the only thing, but what would it be? Would you do the online thing? Would you do the physical thing?
The idea of like, who am I to think I could get like a physical location, you know?
Sounds like you got your answer then. You have a beautiful vision, and I'm really excited to hear more. It was vague yet powerful.
Oh yeah, I was like, who's this specimen that I am telling my dreams to?
Totally. So tell me, let's jump into it.
I started this project about a year and a half ago or so. I'm a visual artist. So I started this project because along like working, of course, I was just I had my own little art shows and things. And so I did this one that was called Perspective of a Lover. Mm-hmm. And basically I allowed people they would write to me anonymously about a past, current, or future lover, so to speak. And at that time, it was more of like in a romantic sense. People actually, I was really surprised because people started using it as kind of like an alternative form of therapy. Because people started writing to me daily. They'd be like, oh, like, I'm really tempted to reach out to this like person that I've had toxic experiences with because I'm like feeling these senses, to like reach out, or these needs and desires I want met. But instead of going forth with this action, I'm going to take the time to like write about it first and I'm writing to you and I'm writing you what I would have said to them instead of actually making that move.
If I wanted to get something off my chest with someone that maybe I shouldn't be back in contact with, instead I would write this piece, give it to you, and then you would share that.
Yeah, publicly.
Wow.
Everyone would be under like anonymous lover is what it was like. So I more so wanted it to be, I think, kind of this project that's more so about teaching people to actually like find peace with where they currently are at. Like in like more of like finding love for your own self and others and meeting people where they're at and kind of accepting people in the work in progress. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the smaller goal, I guess, for this would be I would love to like build some like a product, so to speak, I guess, for like a shop that's like based around this scenario and maybe do some like YouTube things. Like I was actually going to like interview kind of like my nieces or people of like young age and even people that are like in nursing homes and kind of get people's perspective on like what unconditional love is and like, right. But then there's a part of me that has big dreams as far as having like a physical location. Because I came from like working in the music industry and stuff. So I do like projection mapping and like DJing, like audio reactive stuff. Mm-hmm. And so there's also this other longer term goal, I guess, in my head. And I don't know how this would even make money because I don't know. But it basically was on the idea of having like a physical location. I mean, there's one of these, I think, in LA called Flutter. And it's basically a whole art installation. Like you go in, it's like digital, like projection mapping and like other art installations. And it's just literally their whole thing is you go there and you play. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I don't even know how they're like open when everything just goes to charity, but whatever. Somebody's done it. I know it because I've seen it. So I would love a location like that, basically, where I get to do a full art installation and it's everything from like chromatherapy lights to projection mapping and sound healing. And
I guess what I want to ask first is like, what do you want to get out of our time? Because you have amazing ideas. Some of them you've already implemented, so you have the ability to implement, and you're maybe passionate about things a little bit. So if I am a little bit more aware how I can serve and maybe what I can help with, then we can go from there.
I'm so good at being the beginning of the pipeline.
Starter, not a finisher.
I have a hard time, especially with big vision things like this. It's like, I need more of a team. I don't have money. So what do? I started it and now I don't have the money to pay people. Like I want it to go further. Also, like, I don't have like the business mindset. I don't know how people raise money. I don't know how.
Do you want to start a business that supports your lifestyle? What I want to do is kind of, ask the question, if someone were to pay for all of your expenses for 3 years, but not give you any extra money, right? So you have rent, bills, food, all that stuff paid for. What would you do with that time? And so if you decide on what that is, then you can start a business from there. But before going into that process, I would just say, like, getting really clear on your day-to-day preferences and non-negotiables for what you want your life to feel like. So maybe one challenge for you would be to visualize and maybe even write down what your day-to-day life would look like with the project, and then decide whether or not you want that to be something that pays your income, or if you're like, that's a side thing and I have this other thing that's paying me my income for now. Those are two of the main options that I talk about. One is funding, and the other one is, I jokingly call the 3-day-a-week club. And we can move in either direction. I've been in both, whether it be working for a big influencer that teaches me how to do what I want to do in my career, or if it's, getting my YouTube channel funded by going to a government agency and getting a grant. Like, I can help you with either of those, but it's just more about making sure that I'm like talking about the right thing, which you may or may not have the answer to right away, but we can kind of use our intuition and guide this conversation.
I think I would lean towards the funding one, only because, if you can't tell, I'm kind of like a 0 or a 100 personality. It can be kind of hard for me to like pour my cup into different, and especially with something I'm passionate about, when I start working on it, it's actually been hard in the past to like stop and do client work, because I'm just like, man, I'm in a flow.
You self-identified as like a starter and maybe not a finisher. Yeah. Do you think that you're maybe doing that because this thing isn't sustaining you?
Yeah.
Does that have a little to do with it?
Yeah, because basically it's all come down to finances at the end. Because I've like poured my soul into this, and then I will like step away and try to think of a different project that I can start that will basically bootstrap this other project. Because I just reach a point where I'm like, I'm like, I have to eat.
Yes. But I think you are the epitome of someone who could actually acquire funding and do good with it. I don't know everything about your like habits and your ability to follow through and things like that. It sounds like you get really dialed into something if you're passionate about it. You're super charismatic, so you could easily get funding. And the real question is, can you sit down and like complete a pitch deck and actually like have this beautiful project in itself that is a pitch deck that you present to people and get funding? Because you have the ability, I just know, to go into a physical location, an office, and convey to people your excitement about a project, right? You did it just right here on the call. I don't think I talked for the first 20 minutes, and you just have that ability.
I know, I was like, oh God, I'm like getting way ahead of myself.
Right. Well, you're passionate, and so you have the ability to do that. And I would love to share, the framework with you and help you understand like how to do that. A pitch deck is basically 3 sections, and it gets a lot more detailed than this. But one is just your vision and your focus and the brand and all the things relating to what you want to do, right? Just basically telling people what the vision is. And then there's the financials. And then after that, you just sandwich it with exciting people, getting people super excited again. The first section is like, here's who I'm targeting. Here's what my vision is. Here's where it's going to happen. Here's what needs to happen, all that stuff. And then the financials, it's like, imagine you had the money and you basically create a shopping list. You say, these are the people I need to hire. This is what I need to buy. This is the marketing budget to get people in the door. And most importantly, for an investor or a grant writer is, where's the money coming from? Who's going to pay me? What's the income, right?
Yeah.
And you might be in a really cool position because your stuff is kind of like humanitarian and it's got like this mental health aspect to it. You might be able to continue to get government funding to do something that doesn't have a revenue model, right? It's just the model is, there are millions of dollars granted to smaller organizations whose job is to distribute that money to, companies and things of that nature that need it. And so us, figuring out where that money comes from, does it come from the people that come in, right? And maybe, whether it's the physical thing or the digital thing, do they buy something like a product online or walk in the door? Or does it come from a third party? That could be government, it could be sponsors, things like that. Like the podcast model is you get a bunch of people, a bunch of human beings to like to listen to you. And then a company is like, I want people to know about my thing. So I'll pay you, $1,000 per month for every, for every 100,000 people that you have listening, or whatever that looks like. It's really just coming down to getting crystal clear on that vision. If someone paid for all of your expenses for the next 3 years, what would you do with your time? One project. Then after you get really clear on that, then delving into the funding stuff. And the funding stuff, I think the main thing is just clarifying your vision on where the revenue comes from, what the revenue model looks like. And if it's a revenue model that you can pull out your calculator on your phone and do the math and be like, whoa, that could really work, then it's exciting, right? Like if you have a subscription and people pay $100 a month and they can come in whenever they want, or they can go on the digital website, whenever they want, then you just do the math. How many people do you need to make 1,000 a month, 10,000 a month? And just start crunching those numbers. So I'm going to ask you, if you were to use your intuition just for this conversation and say, what would be the one thing that you would focus the majority of your time on? It doesn't have to be the only thing, but what would it be? Would you do the online thing? Would you do the physical thing?
Yeah, it's so interesting because in my head, like the physical thing is flaring off in my head. And I think that it's more so like what is leaning me towards the other one is like a more like fear-based lack mentality of like that seems more possible, feasible, and easier to get to versus like the idea of like who am I to think I could get like a physical location, Sounds
like you got your answer then.
So like if I'm just speaking without fear, like the physical location, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, when I think about so I've actually made pitch decks in the past because that's how freaking determined I am. And even like tried to submit them to like incubators and things. I didn't really have the funding or anything in these decks because I was like, I don't really know. That was like my biggest thing was people would come back and then also too, it's like speaking to people who, it's like a lot of my stuff is like, so people are like, like it's almost like too heart-centered to people, but I'm like, no, it's not. I don't believe that.
No, not at all.
It's not a good fit then, and I don't want your money.
Exactly. Yeah. And the truth is, investors in LA might not be the best thing. You might want to go for government, or you might want to go for other types of grants, because then you're in full control. You're not like attracting, the wrong people. And I understand, I'm not saying that investments are out of the picture. You could totally find the right person. But generally speaking, by you seeking an investor, that person is going to have their own personal desire and interest, and who knows what that could be. So again, not to say that's off the table at all, but there are some really secure ways to get a less money. You're not going to get, $1 million+ to do anything. If you want that much, you need an investor. If you're looking for, 20,000, something like that, maybe even a little bit more than that, or maybe 20,000 on a regular time frame, then that is something that is, definitely doable, where you could get a grant. You could go to the SBA and find out all the grants that they have available. And the main thing that I would focus on is, and I'll talk for a minute about the pitch deck and the financials aspect of it, but is only go to ones where you can go in person. Like don't submit anything online where they don't see your personality, see your face, and nothing like that. Like you can do that, on the side, but really it comes down to human beings who decided to start a career to help people, to give people money to start their businesses. Those are people who are heart-centered, who want to make a difference. And, they're usually really wonderful people. And if you show up and you tell them your idea with all of your amazing artisticness, but then you have this, this tool that you pull out, this sword that is a pitch deck, and you're like, bam, there it is, right? You're like, see, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just a creative, right? Then they're going to be in awe, and they're going to be like, take the money, right? Really, when it comes down to a pitch deck, what I would focus on right now, when it comes to the financials, because you also want to focus on, full clarity of what you would do if you had all the money you needed for the next 3 years, is what are the things that you would need to spend on, right? And then how much money you need personally. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is the hard part, the hidden part, we'll call it, the Easter egg that you have to find, which is what is the revenue model, right? So basically treat it like shopping. Imagine that you already have the money. Just say, okay, who do I need to hire? What do I need to buy? What do I need to rent, right? How much is the place? Find the location that you want, all that stuff, and just put all the prices down.
Okay.
And then, so that's for the shopping. You're going to go shopping. It's window shopping, but later it'll be shopping, right?
True.
Then the other thing is how much you need, right? Just like bare minimum, like maybe even a little bit less than you make right now. Or you could just say, you know what? No, I want the amount that I'm making right now, or I want more. It's up to you. But the amount that you would need to sustain. And then the third thing is the revenue model. And we can dive a little bit deeper into that. But really, if you write this down, as far as the revenue model, all you have to do is decide, do you want to charge people to experience the thing that you create? Or do you want to not charge people for the thing you create and get your money from something else? And something under something else, that's either regular grants, which can be tough, but it can also work. Other companies, right? Someone saying, I want to support what you're doing. Yerba Mate, hey, we're going to give you $1,000 a month to do this. Put our logo on your store. Have all of exclusively our beverages in your amazing location, so on and so forth. Sponsors, endorsements, things of that nature.
Okay.
And who knows? You could have an online platform that is an extension arm of the thing. And just like, Yes Theory, you could have this dope thing that you're doing that's super awesome and amazing. And it's like, maybe sliding scale for people to come in and pay what they can. And if they can't pay, they come in free, whatever. That just helps a little bit. And then a main thing that you do online that's like, bam, like
bam.
Yeah, like bam. And the bam could be like the hoodie launcher. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like proximity, right? Like I could give you 50 strategies, but if your friends did something super successful, you're in proximity to them. So you might as well see what you can mimic or model off of what they've done successfully, because they're in your proximity. There are a lot of places we could go. I'm going to jump off. I got 4 minutes till the next one, but I must say that I'm sure you get this reflection a lot, but you are quite unique, special, and incredible via text and via phone or Zoom. And, I think that your clarity of like your life perspective does need to be shared. And whether you choose to do this or not, or pivot or change things around or not do any of this, I really do implore you to share your ideas as far and wide as you can. And that would be online too, because just by this conversation right here, you could take 7 of the things you said before I got a chance to speak, and you could take those and you could create books on 7 of those things. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that you had some really wonderful insights, and don't take that for granted, because it's very special.
Thank you very much. I do not take that lightly. Appreciate that. Thank you for the time and for the energy. Not
Ditto.
entitled to it, so I very much appreciate it.
Ditto.
And I'm going to go work on a pitch deck right now. Meditate first.
Cool.
And then we'll see.
Yes.
Maybe I'll meditate, and then, my brain will say, go with more of like the digital space, like whatever. And who knows? I think I just need to meditate on it.
Yeah.
More.
My last challenge for you is to create a 1-page plan. And that plan is something that you'll be able to hold in your hands physically and look at and say, I don't know if this is possible, but if somehow I can make this possible, I'll be the happiest person in the world. And I'm the happiest person in the world already, right?
Hey! I'm like, I like what you did there.
Yeah.
Okay, I will let you go.
Cool. All right. Well, it was such a pleasure, Gwendolyn, and we'll be in touch. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of value from it. And if you know someone who maybe needs their day brightened up, or someone who's just motivated and driven and wants to make a difference, or needs more advice, or whatever it is, I implore you to copy the link and send this to them. Shoot them a text or an email, or share this on the social media platform that you're on now. I'd really appreciate that. It would give me an opportunity to spread this message further and wider. And if I can help you more, then feel free to go to nathen.tv. That's nathen.tv. I have online courses, I have coaching opportunities, things of that nature, whether it be paid or free. I want to do whatever I can to help you live your best life. And additionally, if you want your own free consultation, I give them out from time to time. Feel free to text me. My phone number is 310-807-1998, and I'll prompt you with what to do from there. So until next time, stay abundant, stay happy, stay motivated, stay driven, stay focused, and all the other beautiful things. Life is beautiful. No regrets on our deathbed. Chat soon. Thanks.